And that's exactly how this racket worked, is that the ability to tax the American public and then effectively get us to pay for being propagandized, for being surveilled, that's the game.
They say it's for the roads, the schools, the peace, but I see yachts and war machines increase. My paychecks thin, they pockets wide. Truth got taxed and then denied. Receipts and lies. They print them bold, sell the dream. They strip the gold, wave the flag, distract the eyes while they rewrite truth and televise disguise. They print them bold, sell the dream. They strip the gold, wave the flag, distract the eyes while they rewrite truth and televise disguise. Spin the story, rinse the fear, keep the masses in the mirror. Raise the rates, then shift the blame. Call it freedom, play the game. Receipts and lies. They print them bold, tell the dream. They strip the gold, wave the flag, distract the eyes while they rewrite truth and televise disguise. They print them bold, tell the dream. They strip the gold, wave the flag, distract the eyes while they rewrite truth and televise disguise. We fund a circus, feed the beast, while they toast champagne at secret feasts. But whispers grow and minds ignite. You can't tax away the will to fight. Receipts and lies. We've read the fine print, truth ain't dead. It's just been skinned, so count your coins and guard your mind. The revolution's not far behind. Receipts and lies. They print them bold, tell the dream. They strip the gold, wave the flag, distract the eyes while they rewrite truth and televise disguise. They print them bold, tell the dream. They strip the gold, wave the flag, distract the eyes while they rewrite truth and televise disguise.
Bernays, propaganda, and the federal income tax. Joseph Goebbels and the National Socialists of 1930s Germany were very well known for their elaborate propaganda campaigns, steered at convincing unsuspecting citizens that a cleansing was required to move Germany back into prosperous times following a depression. What's not well known is that those tactics utilized by the Nazis were actually invented by a few Americans, most notably Edward Bernays, but also influenced by the likes of Ivy Lee and Walter Lippmann. Bernays is actually regarded as the father of propaganda, and his strategies were used by corporations like the American Tobacco Company and the U.S. national government under Woodrow Wilson back in the 1910s. Bernays was born in Vienna, Austria, near where his uncle Sigmund Freud worked. Bernays' family moved to New York City when he was an infant, yet he continued to be fascinated by his uncle's work in the field of psychology. As a young adult, Bernays began to see how Freudian science could be used, not only in the field of mental health, but carefully integrated into the art of persuasion for use by both corporations and governments. This came at a time shortly after slavery's end, and large numbers of people were becoming educated. They no longer were driven by the use of overt force, but of course, they voted and they consumed, which drove the elite to use more sophisticated methods to keep control over the people. Bernays wrote a book called Propaganda that outlined his early experiences of integrating psychology into a manipulative script with the intent of the continuance of behavioral control of the masses. The first 2 paragraphs of the first chapter of this book is clear in spelling out the intent of propaganda. The conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in democratic society. Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. We are governed, our minds molded, our tastes formed, our ideas suggested, largely by men we've never heard of. This is a logical result of the way in which our democratic society is organized. Vast numbers of human beings must cooperate in this manner if they are to live together as a smoothly functioning society. Walter Lippmann, another propagandist in the same era and a proud socialist, was far more blunt about his attitude toward the everyday American. He referred to the public as a bewildered herd who need to remain spectators and not participants in the important decision-making process. To him, the public was a bunch of ignorant and meddlesome outsiders, and it was simply best to keep them distracted by superficial consumerism. This idea was gobbled up by both the government and the corporate world, as they could benefit greatly. Not only are the unwashed masses distracted away from the important issues, but excessive consumerism could also drain them of whatever wealth they happen to accumulate thanks to the Industrial Revolution. These pitchmen experienced immediate success in casting their spell on the public. Bernays teamed with the American Tobacco Company, makers of the Lucky Strike cigarette, in an effort to make it stylish for women to smoke. In the late 20s, it was considered taboo for women to smoke in public, but Bernays went about an elaborate campaign to change all that. He hired attractive women to walk in an Easter parade in New York City while smoking cigarettes. This was crafted in conjunction with the women's liberation movement and was dubbed Torches of Freedom. When a study revealed that women didn't like the green packaging on Lucky Strikes, and the company deemed it too expensive to change the color, Bernays concocted a plan to instead make green the fashion color of the year. He held a green gala at the Waldorf Astoria and recruited the help of the press. Bernays and Lippmann worked together with the Woodrow Wilson administration in 1917, along with journalist George Creel, to form the Committee on Public Information in order to help shape public support for World War I. This included hiring over 100 artists who created thousands of designs for paintings, posters, and cartoons aimed at instilling patriotism, fear, and support for winning the war. It was an immensely successful venture, and needless to say, others took notice. The Bolsheviks tried similar tactics after the Russian Revolution around the same time, and Nazi Germany took propaganda to a whole other level during the turbulent 30s. Joseph Goebbels was Hitler's Minister of Propaganda and was an ardent fan of Bernays' work. Goebbels was a struggling author and journalist, but took particular interest in the literary works of socialists Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. He latched on to the charismatic Adolf Hitler and found ways to integrate Bernays' strategies into his collectivist mindset. Of course, the Nazis were notorious liars, and propaganda got a bad name following the end of World War II in the 40s. But Bernays was still at the height of his profession in the U.S. Propaganda was rebranded as Public Relations, and the Department of War was changed to the Department of Defense. Perhaps his crowning achievement in mixing the worlds of corporate business with government control came in the 50s when he worked with the United Fruit Company. The company had a business cultivating bananas in Guatemala, and it came under threat of nationalization during a change of government. Bernays' efforts were backed by the famous Dulles brothers, Allen and John Foster, who were stakeholders in the company and also held high public offices within the U.S. government. With help from Bernays, articles were written and placed in prominent newspapers, and the democratic changes in Guatemalan government suddenly became a popular topic among these opinion molders. Later that decade, the CIA staged a coup d'etat to overthrow the current Guatemalan government and appoint a new president viewed more favorably by the Dulles brothers and the corporate elite. The corporate control over the Guatemalan banana industry was preserved. Currently, the United Fruit Company operates under the Chiquita brand. Today, we are still the target of strategies once practiced by these manipulators of information and molders of public opinion. Hillary Clinton used a similar term to bewildered herd in her expression that most Americans are made up in a subclass she referred to as deplorables. By these PR specialists, the public was viewed as useless eaters who are largely driven by their base instincts and carnal urges instead of careful consideration. Thus, in the view of the so-called intellectuals, it was the purpose of the elite to shape those opinions for the good of society and recover a lot of the money they handed out for manual labor. Bernays wrote, "Intelligent men must realize that propaganda is the modern instrument by which they can fight for productive ends and help to bring order out of chaos." Now, roughly a century after Bernays' work became noticed, how much has really changed? Are the unwashed masses still wrapped up in consumerism, or have they instead turned to critical thinking and questioning the narrative? In some ways, it's gotten better for the people, and in other ways, it's gotten worse. The brainwashing tactics have become more noticeable, and more people are finally waking up to the fact that they've been the target of an extensive psychological experiment. Although many millions have endeavored into the realm of a moral compass and reject the base urges that plague mankind, we are nonetheless under a bombardment of carefully crafted advertising and political messaging aimed at keeping the people as mere pawns in a game of global chess. Regarding the topic of income taxation, we can clearly see how similar messaging has been successful at convincing millions that a voluntary direct tax is obligatory, that all U.S. citizens are required to file a Form 1040, and that it's our patriotic duty to pay the federal income tax. This, of course, flies in the face of facts, the law, basic morality, and the clear vision of our founding fathers who knew the dangers of a direct tax and how it could be used to rob the everyday person of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In the minds of the elite, the less disposable income we have, the easier it is to organize their desired society and make even more money for themselves. Though Bernays had nothing to do with the creation of the federal income tax in 1913, the propaganda tactics popularized by him have helped create the image that the tax obliges everyone called U.S. citizens to file and pay every year. Unfortunately, millions believe that the federal income tax is obligatory, as similarly, many bought the hooey that cancer-causing cigarettes are somehow torches of freedom, or that endless wars are somehow means of protecting our liberties. When will the lies end? Well, never, if those disillusioned millions continue to be happy drinking the Kool-Aid given to them over and over. But there is hope on the horizon, and education is the foundation. Part of that education includes the realization that propaganda helps promote a false narrative. The false narrative is backed up by the mainstream media with expertly placed news articles and in the motion picture industry. Entertainment is a popular vehicle with which to get people to accept a multitude of ideas, some of which are correct, some of which aren't, but certainly nearly all of the messaging supports the elite's network of profit-taking and control. Celebrities are used as paid pitchmen, as when humans act as part of a herd, it becomes easier and cheaper to pay the celebrities millions of dollars to endorse a product, as opposed to paying much more money to convince the populace individually to try their product. Seeing yourself as an individual instead of a member of a group makes it much more difficult for their strategies to gain traction. When we as mindful humans stop giving elites and celebrities our energy and attention, this control mechanism quickly becomes powerless. The first step is seeing their playbook and how they're playing you. It's then that resistance to their tricks becomes easier.
Who would have believed it? You, an IRS agent? Death and taxes.
Payday! Payday! Yes, payday. Millions of dollars pouring into the hands of the American worker. Now, in the mind of the average worker live two separate personalities. One, the thrifty.
Wait a bit, laddie. You're going to save a bit of that, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Oftentimes, idle money burns a hole in your pocket, which brings out the other personality. The spendthrift.
Hi, big shot. Come on with me. I'll show you how to spend your dough.
Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy.
I got a couple of good dates.
But, laddie, I've got some better dates.
Important ones, too. When every American should pay his or her income tax gladly and proudly. This year, thanks to Hitler and Hirohito, taxes are higher than ever before. Will you have enough money on hand to meet your payments when they fall due?
We'll take care of that later. Forget it, forget it.
But you don't want to forget our fighting men, do you?
No, sir.
Then you'll have to start saving right away to meet your tax payments.
Yeah.
Listen, chum. Spend it. It's your dough.
Yeah, it's my dough.
Aye, laddie. It's your dough. But it's your war, too. You must save for victory.
What's money for? Spend it. Shoot the works.
Nay, you must save it. Spend! Save!
Spend, save, spend,
Save,
spend,
save,
spend,
save,
spend,
save,
spend,
save,
spend, 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 spend.
Well, now what are you going to do? Spend for the Axis? Or save for taxes? Just remember, every dollar you spend for something you don't need is a dollar spent to help the Axis. That's right. And every dollar you sock away for taxes is another dollar to sock the Axis. For it is your taxes, my taxes, our taxes that run the factories. American factories, working day and night. Factories making guns, machine guns, anti-tank guns, long-range guns, guns, all kinds of guns. To blast the aggressors from the seas. Taxes for American factories, working full blast, making planes. Bombers, dive bombers, flying fortresses, interceptors, stalk the birds of prey that fly by night. Taxes to bury the Axis. Taxes. Taxes for ships, battleships, battle cruisers, destroyers, all kinds of battle wagons. Taxes to sink the Axis. Taxes to keep them flying. Taxes to keep them rolling. Taxes to keep them coming. Taxes to beat to earth the evil destroyer of freedom and peace. This is our fight. The fight for freedom. Freedom of speech, of worship. Freedom from want and fear. Taxes will keep democracy on the march.
Franklin D. Roosevelt. Every worker in the country, farmers, bank presidents, streetcar conductors, dentists, teachers, clerks, mechanics, even unskilled laborers work 3 months of every year to pay for what government spends.
But the rich pay the taxes. Why should I worry?
That's where we're fooling ourselves. Why, if government took all incomes over $5,000 a year and taxed them 100%, that would pay the cost of government for only 4 months. Everyone, whether in the factory, shop, farm, or office, pays for the cost of government.
Well, suppose we do. But I am willing to pay taxes to provide national defense for my country, to see that we have an army, a navy, and airplanes strong enough to protect us against any invaders.
Every American agrees that our country's defenses must be so strong that no nation would dare attack us. We don't want what has happened in Europe to happen here. Let us not forget the lesson taught by Europe's agony. We all know that England and France tried the easy way. That France under Premier Léon Blum had a New Deal similar to our New Deal, and that today the French people have paid in blood and sorrow the price for that fatal experiment. Every thinking patriotic American favors this country building up its national defenses at once. That job has been delayed far too long by the experimenters in Washington. No one today disputes the need for a powerful Army, Navy, and Air Force for our national defense. For these taxes are willingly paid. But our money has not been spent during the last 7 years for national defense. In the last 7 years, the New Deal has spent the breathtaking sum of $58 billion. Of this total, only $6 billion and $900 million were spent on national defense. So-called defense taxes now being imposed are not sufficient to meet the ordinary deficit, much less defray the cost of past, present, or future defense. What did we get for the money spent by the New Deal for defense? Ranking officers of the Army have told Congress, in effect, that our national defenses are woefully inadequate, that we lack automatic rifles for our infantry, that we need tanks and anti-aircraft guns, that few of our airplanes are modern in the light of the lessons taught during the European War. Money spent on the visionary Passamaquoddy project for the harnessing of the tides would have bought guns and tanks, which we now need so badly. The Florida Ship Canal, another wasteful boondoggling failure, into which the New Deal has squandered more millions instead of spending money for necessary additions to our national defense. The abandoned canal is now just a big mosquito breeding ditch, the costliest hole ever dug. Billions scattered in all directions except to improve our Army, Navy, and Air Force. New agencies, new departments, new bureaus, more and more job holders to run these agents. In the last 7 years, the number of civil employees of the federal government has increased by almost 400,000 and increased double the size of our regular Army, and many of them receiving salaries far above that paid to the average man and woman in this country. The chief task of this great army of job holders has been to figure out ways and means to spend more and more of your money. Greater spending, greater debts, increasing taxes. Already the national debt is at record high. In 1917, our debt was not much more than the amount we now pay in annual interest. In the wake of the World War, the national debt rose to $26 billion. Then the enormous total is reduced. Slowly it moves downward and prosperity blankets the nation. Machinery whirls, railroads rush carload after carload from producer to consumer. Despite honest efforts for recovery, depression increases the national debt. The national debt rises. 1933, $22 billion, and up it goes. Down go employment and earnings. 1937, the mounting debt has its impact on our struggle to recover from the depression. Factories close, unemployment, unrest. But the debt continues soaring, up to $40 billion, to $45, and now on its way to $49 billion. Such a debt, created by wasteful and reckless spending, today makes more difficult our job of paying for the national defense we need. The workers' efforts create wealth and supply the money for government spending. The government has no money of its own, except what it takes directly and indirectly in levies and taxes from every pay envelope. Today, more than 25 cents of every dollar of our national income goes for taxes, local, state, and federal. Each of you pays these taxes, taxes that start with raw materials and compound themselves right down through manufacture to the finished product when we buy it. Secretary of the Treasury Morgenthau said recently that more than 60% of the taxes collected by the federal government are paid by consumers, and that means every one of us. In collecting these hidden taxes, the busiest tax collectors of all have no titles and wear no badges. They're the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. Hidden taxes are concealed in most of the things they sell. Taxes on taxes that are passed on to us, who pay when we buy the necessities of life. According to statistics compiled by the Northwestern National Life Insurance Company, father works a whole week just to pay the tax on the family's annual food bill. Before the daily bread can be put on the table, all kinds of different taxes must be paid. Every product, every service that makes for comfort and pleasure in the daily life of the American family is taxed in many ways. Families with a monthly income of $200 pay $26.12 a month in indirect taxes. Families with monthly incomes of $150 pay $20.16 a month. Those who live on monthly incomes of $80 were paying $10.25 a month in hidden taxes before we began the long-delayed rearmament program. Every time my lady dresses, she dons as many taxes as she does clothes. When we relax and seek pleasure and entertainment, Mr. Taxes always joins us, and we must pay for him too. Because of the taxes fastened on the cost of building, the normal cost of this house will buy only this modest home. Automobile owners now pay some $400 million a year in taxes on the cars they drive, taxes that must be paid before the wheels turn. And to add to the cost of every mile traveled and every furrow plowed by farm tractors, the tax paid on gasoline alone reaches the astounding yearly total of $1 billion. All who drive are drafted into another army of taxpayers. Those who have jobs are footing all these various government bills. Only what is left can be used for the needs and savings of the worker's family. You are taxed to pay the salaries of men like this bureaucrat, symbolic of the mailed fist of centralized bureaucracy that knocks at democracy's door demanding a third term here, rampant in the totalitarian nations of the old world, plunging Europe into war, subjugation of the courts, purges of independent legislators, perpetuation of the executive in office, regimentation, war. It must not happen here. But liberty survives only for those who are wise enough and strong enough to preserve it. Let us rid ourselves of our New Deal failure before it's too late. Let us end wasteful spending and return to the good old American sanity and economy. All Americans must unite to stop the New Deal with its lust for power to perpetuate itself in office for another 4 years. It is in our self-interest to preserve the heritage handed down to us by our fearless forefathers. To save ourselves, we must dismiss incompetents and radicals from high places of government. We must elect Wendell Willkie president and speedily become so strong no foe would dare attack us. To that end, let us now dedicate ourselves in a holy crusade that government of the people, by the people, for the people, perish from the earth.
From every mountain side, let freedom ring. Let freedom ring.
roads of schools to peace, but I see yachts and war machines increase. My paychecks thin, their pockets wide. Truth got taxed and then denied. Receipts and lies, they print them bold. Sell the dream, then strip the gold. Wave the flag, distract the eyes, while they rewrite truth in televised disguise. Yeah, spin the story, rinse the fear, keep the masses in the mirror, raise the rates and shift the blame, call it freedom, play the game. We fund the circus, feed the beast, while they toast champagne at secret feast. But whispers grow, and minds ignite. You can't tax away the will to fight. Receipts and lies, we print them bold. Sell the dream, then strip the gold. Wave the flag, distract the eyes, while they rewrite truth in televised disguise. Our receipts and lies, they print them bold.